Vertigo Games have been one of VR's best, brightest and most consistent studios for years now. Their breakout hit Arizona Sunshine from all the way back in 2016 is still one of the most enjoyable co-op zombie shooter experiences you can have in virtual reality, and its recent remake ensures it will stay that way for years to come. They are a studio with many high-profile hits, but here, with Metro Awakening, a widely beloved IP handed to them by publisher Deep Silver, Vertigo Games have outdone themselves and produced easily the best game they have made to date. Metro Awakening is a thrill ride unlike any other VR title I've played in recent years. It's a 10+ hour roller coaster of a game that starts strong and somehow manages to keep that momentum going for the entire duration, only slowing occasionally to deliver the kind of meaningful emotional beats and character-centric moments that Metro is so well known for. Its tight controls, satisfying gunplay, unique inventory system, eye-wateringly good visuals, plethora of small details and cool VR mechanics all add up to an unforgettable and immensely polished VR experience that I truly struggled to find any issues with after rolling credits on the PC version. Metro Awakening does so many little things that come together to form an overwhelmingly satisfying finished product. You can wipe away the condensation from your gas mask visor, you can catch droplets of water as they fall from the pipes overhead, you can squish the horrible little spider creatures as they crawl all over your body, or you can accidentally set your hands on fire by putting them too close to the flaming barrels. Then there are more meaningful inclusions, like the dozens of beautifully voiced NPC conversations you can listen to, the slick gun handling and reloading animations, the best-in-class lighting, the excellently paced and emotional story, the nerve-shredding confrontations with mutant creatures that manage to make me jump every single time. This is a studio at the top of their game, crafting a product they are clearly passionate about. Metro Awakening really is the blueprint for how established flat IP can make the leap to VR, and I hope it raises some eyebrows across the flat gaming industry. Now, this might be Vertigo's first time handling this established IP, and it might be Metro's first foray into VR, but make no mistake, this is a proper Metro game through and through. Numerous times during my playthrough, I felt a sort of nostalgia wash over me, and it took me a little while to figure out that this was due to how much Awakening reminded me of Metro 2033 and Last Light specifically. Its tight, focused, and somewhat linear gameplay design makes it feel like a true, direct sequel to those two original entries, and it doesn't try to replicate the open world gameplay and open-ended nature of the third entry, Metro Exodus. One thing that Awakening has in common with all previous Metro entries, however, is the way it encourages players to scavenge and search every corner of every room for supplies. Ammo and air filters are precious commodities, and you can very quickly come unstuck if you're not picking up enough of these supplies throughout the game. One thing I found myself doing during and after every human combat encounter was emptying the clips from my dead enemies' guns to take the ammunition for myself. It's something the game never explicitly tells you to do, but it's definitely something you can do, and something I would recommend everyone do to remain suitably equipped to deal with the threats you'll be facing. Now, some players might not need that much ammunition, because you can cut down on the amount of ammo you'll be using if you decide to play Awakening with a more pacifist approach. Players have the option here to complete the game without running up a huge and bloody body count, just like the original games. Except where there, you could beat the entire campaign without killing anyone, here you will be rewarded with an achievement if you complete all these stealth sections without spilling any blood. I of course didn't test this because I love to shoot people right in the face, but it's nice to see a semi-callback to the choices given to players in the flat screen entries, albeit not quite the same full pacifist approach. Now, with all that being said, there's one really important thing that I need you all to understand about Metro Awakening. This is a horror game. Top to bottom, front to back, inside and out, This is a tense, taut, genuinely scary and consistently panic-inducing VR horror game. Yes, it might have a heavy combat focus. Yes, it might have the excellent gunplay and high-octane moments you'd expect from a Vertigo game. And yes, it does have lots of humour and emotional moments throughout the campaign, but this is still very much a horror game. Now, it might not be a horror game like Madison VR or Phasmophobia, for example, but I'd also say it's much scarier than something like Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil Village. It builds tension in a way that neither of those recent Resident Evil games can, and it sits comfortably between the two extremes of modern VR resi and high-end horror like Madison. It is an action game with some incredible combat set pieces and an emotionally engaging story, but it's also not afraid to lock you in some pitch black corridors whilst pumping that weird noise that the ghosts from The Grudge make into your ears on repeat. Let's take a look at some examples.
Oh no. Hell. Oh, damn. Hello?
These horror elements bleed into almost every single aspect of Metro Awakening. Every encounter with the lurker creatures is a masterclass in terror. You can hear them scurrying about in the walls before they appear in front of you, and they never appear where you think they're going to appear. You'll confidently finish murdering one of the horrible little bastards, and then as you turn around all smug, you'll instantly see another one leaping at you from nowhere into your eyeballs, forcing you to fire blindly and erratically into the sky. Most mutant-centric combat sections play out like this. It's like a gunfight with the velociraptors from Jurassic Park. They're hunting you, constantly moving position and slinking off into little holes in the walls. It's immensely stressful, and it kept me jumping all the way up until the end of the game. Then there are whole sections of the game that take place in pitch black corridors where your headlamp only slightly flickers occasionally as audio of screaming women and roaring monsters play incessantly into your ears. You'll find yourself in rooms filled with dismembered and ravaged corpses. Spiders will crawl right across your face and onto your hands and weapons. Ghost-like apparitions will call out to you only to disappear as you get close, and you'll even experience more deeply profound moments of horror, like when a wounded enemy lays bleeding after a gunfight, pleading for their life or exclaiming that they don't want to die before taking their last breath. Metro Awakening is a scary game, and it's not cheap scares either. It's constant, endless tension building, an immense sense of isolation, and some of the most stressful combat scenarios I've ever played, all squished into a supernatural VR story. Don't be surprised if this game gets under your skin. Visually speaking, Metro Awakening is an absolute feast for the eyeballs. I played through the entire game on PC with everything maxed out, and I was consistently wowed by the lighting effects, particles, character models, animations, and small details that cover every inch of this game. If you get right up close and personal with NPCs, you can even see small things like individual stains on their teeth. But the real stars of the show here are the lighting and the shadows. The beams of light from enemy headlamps as they're searching for you make combat and stealth sections feel incredibly cinematic, and the shadows that the mutated creatures cast across walls before they've even been made aware of your presence make the impending encounter so much more ominous. Now, even with all this gorgeous lighting and the graphics presets dialed up to the max, my performance was consistently good throughout the game. Much like it has been in previous Vertigo titles, they are just incredibly well optimized. Everything ran smoothly and I can't recall any frame drops or dips, even whilst recording gameplay and using the game's spectator camera. Now, speaking of the spectator camera, I just have to say, this is the kind of thing that I wish all PC VR games had. It's an amazing output mirror for those of you who want to capture or share your gameplay, and it's how I captured everything for this review. It allows you to add smoothing, increase the field of view, and even pump up the output to 4K resolution. It's just a wonderful tool for content creators, and it allows everyone to showcase just how incredible this game looks. Whilst we're on the subject of visuals, there is one issue I encountered with the PC version of Metro Awakening, and it involved using FXAA anti-aliasing. When this was enabled, instances of bright white flickering lights that looked almost like lens flares would appear in random places throughout the environment and would sometimes even come beaming out of NPC character models. As soon as I switched down to TAA as my aliasing option, the issue disappeared. It was an odd little glitch that I have flagged to Vertigo, and it was only visible inside the headset and not on the spectator camera. It's just something I wanted to mention here in case anyone runs into the same anomaly. Now, I can't speak about the finished versions on PSVR 2 or Quest, as I sadly haven't had time to dive into those in any real length, but those who pick up the game on PC are in for a fantastic visual experience.
No, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this.
As far as gripes go, I've really struggled to find issues with Metro Awakening. The game engaged me from start to finish. It performed almost perfectly with no crashes, no issues, and only one odd FXAA visual glitch. It offered a 10-hour long campaign filled with exciting moments, and I can easily see it taking some players as long as 14 hours if they opt for the stealth route or seek out all the collectibles. The audio was absolutely top notch, and when paired with the impeccable visuals, it creates a cinematic experience the likes of which we rarely ever see in virtual reality. All the VR mechanics and interactions felt good, and I didn't experience any awkward grab or hit detection or loss of tracking during my playthrough, and it provided me with a surprisingly scary new VR horror experience that filled me with nostalgia for the original games in the Metro franchise. However, if I had to pick just two faults with Awakening, I would firstly say that some players may find the mid-sections of the campaign repetitive in terms of the environments you'll be spending your time exploring. Chapters 5 through 7 in particular have a certain sense of deja vu as you find yourself in train cars, tunnels, and rooms that feel eerily similar to locations you've already visited over and over again. The whole game does look very similar, of course, with it all being set in these metro tunnels, but the bulk of the locations in these mid-game chapters do kind of blend together, and I believe Vertigo were reusing certain locations. And secondly, I'm sure a portion of VR players will be frustrated with the lack of full body representation in Metro Awakening. It's not something that necessarily bothered me, and it is very typical of the games Vertigo have made previously, but it is strange to look down in such an immersive game and not see anything. Just a pair of floating hands. I know a decent percentage of VR players will want to look down and see their holstered pistol, see an ammo pouch or grenades hanging from their belt, and that just isn't the experience offered here in Awakening. It wasn't an issue for me, but I know it's a passionate point of conversation for many VR users. All in all, Metro Awakening feels like a return to the 2016 golden era of PC VR gaming, except now we're getting games built around high-profile IP with modern sensibilities and mechanics. This is Vertigo Games at their very best, crafting a new story in a beloved franchise with all the techniques and trademark systems they have expertly honed over years and years of VR game development. This is a true Metro game, but a Metro game that is far scarier than the series has ever been before. It's one of the best action horror games ever made for virtual reality, and it might be the best VR game of 2024. But only time will tell, and only Behemoth or Alien Rogue Incursion can dethrone it now.